All right. We are here with a lot of people who are better than me. Fun fact, if you add Sam Chen's and my points together, we'd have the most in North America. So here we go. We're going to talking about the world's meta. And I'm going to let these guys go around, introduce themselves. Sam, his picture isn't working. Well, his picture's working, but that's about it. So, you guys, why don't we start with Sam, and then we'll go Joe, Ryan, Connor.
Cool. Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Sam. I've been playing for a long time, for way too long, and I did well this year. So yay.
That was a solid introduction.
I'm Joe, UK player. Only a day one Worlds invitee this year, but got a YouTube channel and I do commentary as well for the European team. So got my fingers in many pies, so to speak.
My name is Ryan Sabelhaus. I'm a professionally sponsored player for CCG Castle. I'm also a writer for 60 Cards, and I got 1,100 championship points and somehow didn't get a day 2 invite. So,
my name's Connor Finton, and if Ryan's going to throw that out, I'm a professionally sponsored player by Ultra Reality Games. And I have 200 more points than Ryan does, so I do have a day 2 invite.
Awesome.
Oh, this is Sam again. I should mention that I'm sponsored by myself.
Yeah.
I keep trying to get sponsored by you, but you just...
I need that Sam Chen sponsorship program. I need that Sam Chen money.
Now you know. Okay, so we're talking about Worlds meta and what you all should play. And I'm not going to Worlds, despite my massive amounts of talent. So, first question, we're talking about Gardevoir, because everyone's talking about Gardevoir. Is the hype real? Is it warranted? And if so, how does that shape the meta?
All right, who wants to go first? Sam, you go first.
I think the hype is real. The deck is very good. 30 damage times the number of energy attached to Gardevoir Gardevoir GX and the defending Pokemon. I mean, you can the maximum HP really in this format, realistically, is the 230 that Gardevoir has. So, a lot of things have 180, a lot of things have under 210. So it's really easy to get one shots and get rolling once that deck starts gets set up. It has some glaring weaknesses as well. Its metal weakness makes it easily counterable by something like Metagross, which in itself loses to Volcanion. So there's a lot of rock paper scissors going on. But I think Gardevoir overall is a very strong card, and I think the thing that makes it really really work is that it's Garbodor proof. Trash Lance Garbodor proof, especially with its GX attack, which lets it shuffle 10 cards from the discard pile back into the deck. But usually against Garbodor, it's going to be item cards, and so Trash Lance will do nothing to it. So I think Gardevoir is certainly going to be a tier 1 deck for Worlds. It's not easily counterable. It's hard to do 230 damage without hitting for weakness, and decks that hit it for weakness are weak to other things like Fire type, Volcanion decks in general. So I think Gardevoir is a strong contender. Will it win Worlds? I don't know. It has a target on its back as of right now, but I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Yeah, I agree with most of what Sam said. Like he's saying, the only decks that can hit it for weakness are weak to Volcanion, which I think is like the other like big hype deck going into this tournament. Just the Volcanion and the Gardevoir. I do think it has some consistency issues, at least from my testing so far. Is that the games that it sets up and just goes off, it hits really hard, too strong, too fast. But if it doesn't get set up, it doesn't set up every game, so it sits there and doesn't do much.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of gets rolled over sometimes.
So it might be more of a day 2 play than day 1 play if it's not as consistent.
Yeah, well, for day 1, you're really trying to find consistent decks too, so that does kind of make sense. When I was playing, and when I've been playing Gardevoir, it just seems like it's really clunky at times. Like Connor was saying, if you get set up and you get going, it's insane. But it's like the perfect deck if you could play 65 cards, but you can't. So you just have to play it's awkward. It's play one choice band or like some cards you want more cards, but you can't. So
yeah, I actually think the deck's really good. I think it will force the biggest shift away from Garbodor more than anything else. Definitely me looking at day one, I'm thinking Garbodor isn't going to be my top priority anymore to beat, just because the GX attack is so powerful. I think so many people sleep on the fact that Guardi's really good for one energy. Everyone just says load it up and swing for one shots, but I like playing like max potions and just going for easy two shots. Like we've seen Lele get two shots for just a DCE. Guardi can get two shots quite happily for one fairy commitment, and they have to commit their like best attacker to try and deal with it. And if they don't, you can just max potion again, KO, or you can just start using its ability on a benched Guardi and getting a lot of energy on to like sweep. So I think the deck goes for like two shot, one shot to try and win the game. It's really good against EX and GX decks, I feel, outside of Metagross. It's sort of struggles against some of the non-EXs out there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Golisopod's also a weird one because Golisopod is so aggressive turn 1 and 2, especially if it hits turn 1, and if it can like Guzma deal with the Octillery before they get going. Like a few of the guys have already said, the consistency issues are there as a stage 2 deck. So if you target the draw engine, you can just sort of outpace the deck a couple of times with a few decks. But I think overall Guardi will definitely see a large showing. I don't know about me personally for day one. I think it's too much of a risk in my eyes because everyone's talking about this triangle meta type thing.
Mm-hmm.
That I personally don't want to be involved in that. I'll just let other people deal with that and I'll take more 50-50s along day one. But for day two, when people assess how Guardi did day one and how many people actually brought Metagross, etc., I think that's the time to make the call on the deck.
Very cool. So the second deck actually I want to talk about was Golisopod, the other somewhat hyped deck coming out of the set. What is its best partner, and does it work?
I played 0 games with it, but I think it's Decidueye.
Same. Cool. That's what I thought too.
Like Zoroark seems nice, and you know, evolutions let you hit for weakness, but I think it just needs damage output as much as possible before you know. And the one building off what Joe said, the one thing that Golisopod has on Guardi is that it's a 1 energy attacker. So Gardevoir needs 6 energies on it in order to take a 1 shot on Golisopod. So you're really trading 2 shots for 2 shots a lot of the game. And if they ever commit a huge Gardevoir, you can I think you play Espeon GX in Golisopod Decidueye, so you can miraculous shine and get rid of 6 energies instantaneously, as well as a Gardevoir, obviously only for 1 prize. And I think Decidueye pressure early game. I mean, the Ralts on the bench and the Remoraid's on the bench may not be safe if you're able to target them early. So I think Decidueye is the best partner. I'm not sure how that Volcanion matchup is once again, because without Vaporeon, you're not one-shotting anything. Maybe you play a 1/1 line of Vaporeon anyway, but that deck is going to be really tight on space because if you're running Decidueye, you're running a stage 2 and a stage 1, and you need the 4 forests and whatnot. So I don't know the best way to play Golisopod, but if I were to start testing, I would test it with Decidueye first before I tried it with things like with Zoroark, Evolutions, or Crabominable, or Bisharp even.
Okay, so Sam just named a couple cards that I don't even know what they do.
Yeah.
We'll just go from
Don't worry about those.
Just smile and
I'm
nod.
not going to. So I think the issue with Golisopod is that, like Metagross, similarly, they just have this weakness to fire. That's just I don't feel like you can go into this tournament losing to Volcanion. I know, at least from like my circles and what I'm hearing a lot of Volcanion hype, like almost more so than Gardevoir GX. I think that's going to be a deck that you can't have an auto loss going into the tournament with, and I don't feel like Golisopod can consistently beat Volcanion.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree there. I don't even think. I think with the evolutions, I think it's like it would be close against Volcanion.
Yeah.
Like I still don't even think you would beat Volcanion.
But that's the only version I've been testing is just like Zoroark and evolutions and stuff, and it doesn't beat Volcanion.
Yeah, just because Volcanion's too strong, your fire weakness is too big, and your main attacker can get knocked out by a baby Volcanion.
That's what it's an issue.
Yeah, using Power Heater. That's like, and I'm like the biggest fan of Volcanion, so I would not play something that loses to Volcanion at this tournament, which unfortunately is Golisopod. And you can't even play like weakness policy or anything because they'll just field blower that off. Your Golisopod is dead.
They're playing a lot of field blower. Probably.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's such a glamorous card. I think it's such a great card while we still have Forest. It's literally just this one tournament that we could cash in on Golisopod, but everyone's going to play Volk anyway. I think
I don't even think the Golisopod needs Forest in the next format.
Oh man! Oh, I think the deck is completely based on Forest at least. Every deck can hit 120 turn 2, but the difference is Golisopod can do it turn 1 right now, pretty much. So that's where I feel the strength of Golisopod is currently.
That'd be right.
I think of Golisopod a lot of the way like you were thinking of Gardevoir earlier, where you just play it with like you can play max potions on it and heal it over and over again and get 2 shots.
Acerola, dude.
You can Ace. Yeah, I mean that card
just Acerola cycle
That's
and scoop
nutty.
ups. I play full scoop ups in Golisopod. I think that's the way I'd like to play it. Yeah, I think Decidueye and Eevees are the 2 main ways I've tried to play it right now. I do like Decidueye, but sacking Volk is kind of rough. I've tried playing like a single copy of Necrozma, but that hasn't really worked out. Because you just try and get like 300 damage on the board on 1 turn, and then just have to rely on Feather Arrows to do the rest. It's kind of cool, but you still lose the game a lot of the time. But yeah, it's a really cool card, and I think people will play it just because it's really aggressive. And it is a neat deck. Like when you're not playing, the Decidueye list is clunky, but the evolutions, if you just play the 2/1/1 vine or whatever, it's really consistent and speedy, and that's appealing to me because it's such a neat combo, and it does set up quite consistently, I think.
Okay. Then let's go to Volcanion. That was mentioned a few times. And how is its Guardy matchup?
I'm going first, Sam. Suck it. Alright, Volcanion. I like Volcanion. Alright, I honestly think that Volcanion doesn't have that bad of a matchup to Gardevoir. A lot of people are telling me otherwise, and they think that matchup is terrible. They think Gardevoir just destroys it and stuff because they have like Hex Maniac and blah 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 blah. But they have to get set up and they have to find the Hex Maniac. They usually only play 1, and it's not as easy as it sounds. And if you have Fighting Fury Belts on all your attackers, and you now have Kiawe and you have Ho-Oh, it's not that easy for them to hit like 230 damage. That's a crap ton of energies that they need. I really don't think it's that bad. And if they hit you and don't kill you, and you play Acerola in your Volcanion, you also just get to pick that up, and now you have 3 steam ups and a way to just smack them. I don't think it's that bad. I think at the worst it's 50-50, or maybe 45-55, but I don't think it's as bad as people make it seem.
I agree completely with what Ryan said. I think that the matchup's very close. I think it's just straight up 50-50. Like he was saying, sometimes they can load up and knock out one of these big attackers, but if you have another one to go and knock them out, they usually won't trade back. They play, like he said, he played the Hex Maniac, or I've seen some play Silent Lab and stuff like that, but with Silent Lab you just counter it with your own Stadium or a Field Blower, and you're just a lot faster. By turn 1 you can be knocking out basics with Baby Volcanion, and then by like turn 3 or 4 you can one-shot Gardevoir GXs pretty easily and pretty consistently. So I think the deck has a consistency bonus, and I think it can handle it 1-for-1 anyway. So
it'll definitely go ahead in the race.
Yeah.
It's basically how it can survive off of being end by the Guardy a lot of the time. If it can continue to ramp every single turn, which, you know, it's figured out how it can do that a lot of the time. It's, you know, pretty speedy and stuff. I think, personally, if I was going to play Volk, I'd have to play the 4 Volk EX again, because there are so many more Pokemon with that higher baseline, and the Guardy seems to be the deck you need to target, so you need to make sure you have enough steam ups in the game, because in my testing so far with Guardy, if ever Guardy's the one being proactive and dealing with one of their Volcanion EXs before any other attacker, like they're going to do their power heater shenanigans early on and set up the Volk EXs and Turtles and stuff. But if you come in with a Guardy, deal with their first Volk EX, it's really easy to hit like the 180 at least when they start piling energy on. And you deny them the physical steam ups later on in the game, that's when it swings back in Guardy's favor a huge amount, I think. So playing the full 4 Volcanion, or at least maybe go to double stretcher, one of those 2 ideas, I think I would go for with Volk. I don't think I'd play Ho-Ho. I know a lot of people sort of like it as a one-off. I don't think I'd play it in Volk, but I think Volk is like super solid. I'm scared to play against Volcanion with a lot of the decks I've been considering for Worlds, so it'll definitely be popular.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been testing favorably Gardevoir favorably against Volcanion. I might not be playing against the best quality opponent, and I say that because I'm testing against myself. But I mean, I've also been running some janky Gardevoir lists. Like I've been running one with like the Japanese list, like 4 Acrobite, 4 Trainers Mail. So I'm just like, you get turn 2 Guardy every game, and Volcanion just struggles to keep up, especially if you can Lysander the Pokemon they just Kiawe to. Like it gets very difficult. Like if I were to play Gardevoir, I would say I would play a list that gets turn 2 Gardevoir every single game, or as often as you can. Like I cut a lot of the fun stuff, like Mallow. I'm thin on the tech supporters as well. So I mean, I've been playing weird lists. So I think if you can get Volcanion loses if they get a turn 2 if Gardevoir gets a turn 2 Gardevoir, and turn 3 you get a second Gardevoir up, and you just start pressuring, dealing a lot of damage, and hitting your max potions at the right time. So I guess I need to test more conventional lists or to play some more games, because I'm hearing very good players tell me that my testing results are wrong. So
Okay. Next, let's go to another one y'all mentioned, Metagross.
Risky play, man. Risky play.
If the deck is very good if you never play Volcanion.
Yeah.
Or like I say that there's also some other bad, like if you play Greninja, you can't beat Greninja. It's a straight up auto loss as well. And so like there's a couple decks that I just don't think you'll beat. If you play Gardevoir every round, you're gonna win the tournament. But you're not gonna play Gardevoir every round.
Necrozma is also very good in Metagross. I've actually played a couple games with it. The Necrozma can't be hit by colorless type Pokemon, which is, I guess, completely irrelevant, or more or less going to be irrelevant.
Mega Rayquaza is like...
There's Mega Ray.
We'll talk about that one next.
All Mega Rays run Hex.
They all have Hex, and then Drampa Garb has Garbodor. So.
So I mean, Necrozma gives the deck like a basic attack. You don't need to like retreat every turn. You can just max potion, keep something active, and you only need 2 Metagross instead of 3 now. So it's I mean it makes the deck beats Gardevoir, but as I forgot who mentioned, it doesn't beat everything else. So it's definitely a risky play, and it's not on my list of top decks for Worlds right now.
It's definitely not like a day one play where you can be like, I'll safely go into this tournament and go 5-2 or 4-2 or whatever you need to go. It's not happening. You're not going to do it. So don't risk it.
Yeah, Golisopod's hard. Volk is unwinnable. Greninja could pop up. Who knows? So that's a lot of unfavorables to take just for the sake of beating what could be like 2 or 3 of your rounds maximum. It's unlikely that you'll play 3 of the same deck. From my experiences at Worlds, it's rare that you play like 2 of the same deck day one, because everyone's trying to make the right call and whatnot. So I would never touch Metagross, but I don't know. I don't think it's a great idea to play it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely not. I think it's too risky. I don't think you can beat enough things. I think you can confidently beat what's probably going to be one of the best decks, but you'll also confidently lose to one of the other best decks every time in Volcanion.
Yeah. You could just 2-shot with Vulpix, right?
That's true. That is true. But they could also just kill you with just Power Heater. Just a BM, they could probably just kill you with Power Heater.
Oh, I'm sure they could.
So next one, let's go to Mega Rayquaza.
I actually think it has pretty okay matchups against a lot of these big decks. I think it has like a slightly favorable Volcanion matchup. I think it should beat Gardevoir depending on like Silent Lab counts and stuff like that. Just by outspeeding, and it can hit the knockouts on these 230 HP Gardevoirs or like a Fury Belted Turtonator or something like that. I think it has okay matchups against the field. It one-shots Golisopod, and it's just as fast, if not faster, than Golisopod. So it has a lot of those kind of matchups where it's fast and it hits real hard.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you handle Sudowoodo?
So there's the problem, right? So there's a 1 card that can like just totally swing matchups. Sudowoodo doesn't always beat it if you can like kill it immediately. You just Lysander it and knock it out. But if people are playing Sudowoodo, you lose. I just don't know if there's enough hype behind the deck to warrant playing a Sudowoodo in a lot of decks.
Right.
So like it could be it's kind of a risky play, but I feel like that's a better risky play than say Metagross, where I feel like playing Rayquaza could pay off, where I feel like Metagross just 100% of the time will not pay off.
Yeah, I think it's much less likely that the 7 or 8 people that you face day one all have decided to put the tech inclusion of Sudowoodo in their deck. So I think it's probably in a good spot, especially because you're happy, like you can afford to lose 2 rounds in day one, and I think it's reasonable that 2 people will take Sudowoodo, but how many are actually going to tech that card? Everyone just wants to be consistent day one, so.
And like Joe was saying earlier with the whole Garbodor thing, it doesn't have a good Garbodor matchup, but your Garbodor matchup's gotten better. I also think the Zoroark is seeing a lot less play for this tournament because it has like that bad Gardevoir matchup, and so the deck, its bad matchups are starting to kind of fade away, and so I think it's in an okay place in the meta going forward, as long as people aren't playing like you said, playing Sudowoodo.
Sudowoodo isn't like, you also need the right deck with Sudowoodo to beat Mega Rayquaza, because back then with Parallel City and Garb, under Parallel City you can Lysander the Garb and only does 90 because your bench is limited to 3. Sudowoodo limits your bench to 4, and you're not ability locked either. So it's not that unreasonable to Lysander out the Sudowoodo, kill it, and if they don't have a rescue stretch, your next turn you can go off again and fill up your bench to 8. Especially since when they play Parallel, they get rid of your Skyfield. Sudowoodo doesn't really get rid of your Skyfield. They need Sudowoodo in a stadium still as well. So, and obviously, but it's a basic, so it's easier to recycle and get back to the bench. So I don't think Sudowoodo necessarily even makes matchups as unwinnable as Garbotoxin and Parallel City used to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can one-shot the Sudowoodo with the Emerald Break, and if you blitz your opponent, you have that time. If you get off to a prize lead, you do have the time to take your take that Sudowoodo 1 prize and still be fine in the prize trade. So I think Mega Rayquaza is a good sleeper pick. It really depends on what other decks are good. Like if Mega Rayquaza doesn't like Garbotoxin still, so if Garbodor decks are still played, I don't know how Mega Rayquaza does against like Tapu Coco, if that's a real deck. I actually haven't tested that deck yet. So there's other things in the format that Mega Rayquaza could struggle with, but I definitely agree with Connor that it's better positioned now than it was at internationals.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what everybody's saying. I feel like it's in a pretty good spot. It's kind of a good sleeper pick. And it's kind of funny actually. When I was testing it, at least, it always seemed like my counter to their Sudowoodo was my own Sudowoodo. So like they would have to commit one of their bench spots, and then they only have 3 like useful things on their bench because you have a Sudowoodo, and then sometimes they didn't even get to play down their Sudowoodo until it was like too late or something like that. So
another cool cute thing is it's not like huge, but like you could play a Darkrai GX, and so your stadium gets bumped. You're like, okay, I'll play my own and I have another thing. It's like an execute and expanded. So it's not super great, but I think it's worthwhile as a one-up.
Would you ever play Darkrai GX Switch instead of like Mega Turbo or like a split?
It's funny, right when the card was announced, me and Xander Pero talked a lot about it in Mega Gardevoir. I think we could just play E-Switch, but Mega Turbo just does that better.
It's just quicker as well for Ray.
Yeah,
you need less
cute,
someone.
but it's not worth it.
That's fair.
All right.
I don't like your opinion.
Yeah.
No to E-Switch.
Okay, let's go to Greninja now. Is it as good as it seems against the top decks?
I hate that deck
Me too.
so much.
So like, I think it. Oh, okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Greninja still loses to itself.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh my God. Ask my 0-3-1 at last year's Worlds.
Greninja was a good play last year for Worlds because, I mean, the Japanese secret deck was Volcanion. I guess it wasn't a secret to them. The Japanese secret deck was Volcanion. The best deck in format we thought was Night March, and like it just had good matchups against the field, where I think it doesn't necessarily have that this time around.
Yeah.
I think it's
really well played.
Yeah, I think it has great matchups.
We've all
As long
just
as
said
it
that.
does-
Yeah, carry on, Connor.
As long as it doesn't just totally brick on itself, which it'll do. Like, you can't play Greninja and just be like, oh, I'm never going to dead draw, because you're going to dead draw, it's going to happen. You can just go back and watch Worlds Finals and see what Greninja can do to itself.
Yeah.
But I feel like if it draws well, you beat most decks, most big decks. I think it has a very favorable Volcanion matchup, has a favorable Gardevoir matchup. I think it has a favorable Metagross matchup. Well, actually, we talked about it can beat Mega Rayquaza with like ends and Shadow Stitches and stuff like that. You lose to Golisopod, I guess. You lose to anything grass, but everything that's not grass, I feel like you have a good matchup against, as long as you don't dead draw.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as how I
Garbodor's.
feel. Yeah,
Garbodor's
Garbodor's also hard. Yeah, but
Maybe I'm playing too much Drampa Garb, but which I think beats Greninja. But yeah, no, I guess you're right. Greninja does well against like the stage 2 setup decks that aren't grass type.
But if it's a top deck,
It also loses to Decidueye, which is not, I guess, is the other deck I was thinking of. I will not. I don't think I'd go into Worlds taking a loss to Decidueye. I still think the deck is very good.
See, every matchup that you said that you thought Greninja was good against, Connor, I'm thinking the exact opposite, because my version of Greninja involves a Froakie and then a bubble attempt and then me losing. That's my version of Greninja. So
there's a reason I've never played Greninja in a tournament before, and it's this whole I guess I'll just bubble and flip, like you said, bubble, flip tails, and lose.
Yeah, no, that is exactly what happened to me multiple times. So I hate Greninja, but it's a good deck, but I hate it.
I've never been glad I played Greninja in a tournament before.
Well, there you go.
Every time I sit down across from an opponent playing Greninja, I think lesser of them. I'm like, I don't know you, but I already don't like you as much as I could.
Shots at Grafton Roll.
No, I didn't play him.
Okay.
All right, then let's go to the Decidueye variants. There's Vileplume and Ninetales were the two big ones we've seen. Thoughts on those two and which one's better?
I don't know if they'll be all too relevant for Worlds, because I think the whole format's going to kind of change up, and almost all Decidueye variants struggle against Volcanion. But, I mean, they might still see play. They might also now see play with Golisopod. I don't know, this is my opinion, I don't think Decidueye is going to be that good of a call for Worlds, but that's just me.
So
would you go for Ninetales or Vileplume?
If I had to pick, I'd go Vileplume.
Yeah.
So a lot of Decidueye's win conditions are like, oh, I'll stall this thing active, and just use Feather Arrows, and then I'll win. But that doesn't work, because we have Guzma that just says, oh, you can switch. And so, and it's not like Olympia where like some decks were playing Olympia, maybe a one of. Like every deck is playing, or most decks at least are playing one if not multiple Guzma. They'll let them switch out and then go and hit into the Plume or into a Decidueye or whatever you want to hit. So it doesn't have that out as much, at least. It can't do it as consistently. And so it loses to that. And the Volcanion matchups, I feel like, has gotten worse than, like, say, around the, like, Australia, Brazil internets. Because then, like, the Volcanion decks were playing a bunch of items and shamans and stuff. And now they're playing Lele. It lets them go and get whatever card they want, whatever supporter. They're playing Brooklet Hill. Kiawe helps a ton, because they're just like, oh, let me just charge up an attacker. And now they have an attacker turn 2, and you can't do anything about it.
Yep, sounds right.
Yeah. And Acerola as well denies a lot of the cute math you're trying to do. That's really sad for the deck, because I would otherwise really have Decidueye like top of my priority list. I think, Decidueye's been, one of the most consistent performers all season, so I am never going to write it off. But Acerola just ruins like 3 turns of your development and your planning, and the advantage you gain from having Feather Arrow throughout the game is lost just by one supporter that pretty much a lot of decks will be playing. And also there's the big stage 2s, Guardian, Metagross, they're going to play max potions as well, so a lot can be denied at the moment for Decidueye, which is a bit sad.
I think you guys are sleeping on turn 1 Vileplume, which is still
It is good against Gardevoir.
Turn 1 Vileplume is still very good.
Still very strong. Like, I actually think Decidueye Vileplume is well positioned against stage 2 decks, especially
even with Acerola, like it doesn't mean anything if you can ever only get one of your stage 2s out. You need to get multiple of your stage 2 out, and Decidueye really punishes, like, you can't rare candy under Vileplume lock. The Decidueye plays Guzma too, so now, like, one of the things is, I center that Vileplume out and draw out of it. Well, then they'll Guzma their Vileplume to the bench and start hitting with their attacker again. So, I mean, I think, like, the reason I don't like Greninja is because I think Decidueye is not many people are going to play it, but I still think it's going to be very good, as Kettler showed us at internationals. Like, I don't think it really loses anything per se. Its Volcanion matchup certainly got worse with Kiawe, but I mean, the new Vileplume is a spicy tech against Volcanion. I don't know how much it will be played.
I was about to ask about that.
The new Vileplume's ability stops all basic Pokemon from damaging.
It's a Pyroar as a Vileplume, so.
It's basically intimidating main on a stage 2. And I guess if you have both Vileplumes up and only those 2 Vileplumes up, they can't even escape rope Lysander, like escape rope Guzma or something. So I think I mean, then Volcanion might play Hex to counter that if the metagame gets that far ahead. But I think Decidueye has good matchups across the board except for Volcanion. Still, and even against Volcanion, it's not unwinnable because there's this thing called Turn 1 Vileplume.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Vileplume decks is, like, or any sort of item lock or anything like that, it can still win any matchup just by saying, oh, you don't get to play the game. So.
And another good thing, too, is now Garbodor is slowing down, which was one of its worst matchups. So.
Right. I don't expect Drampa Garb to be played a lot.
Okay, well, let's...
Or even Espeon Garb, or any Garbodor variant. Like, I wouldn't expect to see more than one in 7 rounds or 6 rounds.
With all these high HP Pokemon, is Drampa Garb dead? With Gardevoir.
I don't know if it's dead. I think people will still play it, but it's just because it's consistent and it's really good. Well, it was really good. I don't know if it's still going to be really good. I think people are still going to play it, and they're still going to try it, maybe with some of the newer cards, but it's definitely not the powerhouse it was. It's not going to be as strong.
It needs to figure out a few matchups for sure. I don't know if you, like, thin the Garbodor line to make spaces for, like, tech Pokemon or something, because Trash Lance just inherently gets worse. There's a couple of matchups where you don't even ever get him out, like Gardy. So I think the Garbotoxin is still really solid. I think that aspect's really good. Drampa's still a really good attacker, really consistent. So the shell's still there. It's just trying to figure out how techy you go. Like Sam's list for North America, it was teched for like 3 different decks. So the spaces are in the deck to tech for your expected meta. So maybe that's what we see. I don't know if maybe just Drampa gets Garbodor out the list and then just plays a different attacker, like someone mentioned Bisharp earlier. Like that could even be a fun thing. So who knows? It depends what you're trying to target with the deck, but it's a base, like the Drampa at least, it's a basic Pokemon. The shell is really easy to get built, so maybe he'll succeed and then sort of Garbodor falls off a bit. That's the way I'm sort of seeing it right now.
Bisharp misses Gardevoir knockout though.
You can play Reverse Valley or Delmise.
you can. It's just a big. It's a lot.
You can like Coco spread Kukui or play.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many options.
There are so many options. That's true.
It still seems like an awful lot.
It does.
No, so I'd like to think that I know a thing or two about Drampa Garb. I guess that might be overstating it, but I think the deck in itself has 6 open spots, at least from the skeleton that I used. If you want to take out some psychics and put in rainbows like Tord did, that also gives you more options. I mean, like there's 3 Pokemon spots and like maybe 3 supporter spots that's from my list if you just want to look on Pokemon.com that can be taken out. You can put in Magira EX as an option to one-shot Gardevoir. You can put in more Drampa. You can even take out a 1/1 Trubbish Garbodor to give yourself 8 spots to do whatever you want with. In fact, maybe, I think Joe was the one who brought it up. Sorry, I don't have video right now. But I think you can even screw the Garbodor, right? Just play your two Garbotoxin for ability lock and then play Metals and Magearna or play Jolteon EX or whatever. I mean, I don't think I think the deck is very strong because of Trash Lanch, and so now that Trash Lanch is presumably going to get weaker with the new set coming out, especially with a bunch of with a bunch of decks that don't need to play a lot of items. Additionally, like the two decks that came out of of Burning Shadows, Gardevoir and Golisopod, they both don't use special energy cards really. So like Drampa's Righteous Edge becomes weaker as well. So I mean, I think the format is shifting away from Drampa and Garbodor being as good as they were for the past couple of months. But nonetheless, I think some people, it's inherently a very consistent deck, and I think some people will still try to play it. So I don't think it's going to win Worlds unless I play it.
Hey. Any other thoughts about either Drampa Garb or Espeon Garb?
I never liked Espeon Garb.
Espeon Garb is now even worse, which is, I don't even think it was that good to begin with. It was just kind of like annoying. It's now even worse. Because now it's like, I'll confuse you. It's like, okay, I'll play a Guzma or an Acerola, or just who cares?
And Acerola hurts your GX too.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Espeon Garb I think was a very specific call for the post Drampa Garb meta, or like the Drampa Garb Vespiquen meta that sort of developed around Seattle and Madison. I don't think I didn't even think it was the right play for internationals. I know a lot of good players did well with it, but I think that's because they were good players more so than because the deck itself is that good. I just thought like Espeon Garb is a very specific counter to a very specific meta, and the meta is going to widen up, and I don't think it's that good anymore.
The only benefit I see is that you can play type coverage evolutions for a few matchups, but there's still some other awkward matchups out there for you. And like you said, we're expecting, like we've just listed like 7 or 8 decks already, so it's a wide meta, and Espeon Garb was better in a narrow meta.
And Espeon Garb's entire damage output is dependent on what your opponent does.
Mm-hmm.
So Trash Lanch is dependent on how conservative your opponent is with items, or I guess how bad their hand is. Maybe they have to play it. And then Espeon Psychic, which is its big, quote unquote, big damage attack, is dependent upon how many energies your opponent chooses to attach. Well, Gardevoir and Golisopod do not have to attach more than 1 energy card to use their good attack. So like you're really at the whim of your opponent in terms of your damage output as well. I just don't. I wouldn't even test it for Worlds, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'd play a game with it just to confirm that it's bad, but that's it.
No,
I played a couple and did confirm it was bad.
Thank you.
Good for everyone else.
Appreciate you took one for the team.
Yeah.
I have 4 other big decks, quote unquote, that I want to talk about, and then if there's anything glaring that you think is missing, let me know, and then we'll go through the smaller decks really quickly. Bulu Vikavolt.
I love it. I actually really like it. I think it's great for Worlds. I think it's got 50-50 bulk minimum. I think it's got really good Golisopod. If you play Kukuis, you can one-shot Guardies whilst removing all your energy from self, which is really awkward to deal with. And its strategy is the same every single game. Oh, and it's got a great Greninja as well. So I think when your bad matchup is Metagross, I think you're in a pretty good spot, to be honest.
And does your list look more like John Roberts, or is it looking more traditional?
I haven't actually seen John Roberts' list.
John Roberts' list is the hottest thing.
It is amazing.
I haven't seen this either. What's weird about it?
2 Sycamore, 2 N, 3 Skyla, and it just focuses on getting Vikavolt, and then you don't care if you dead draw after that.
I mean, I've played a lot with Vikabulu, and I know that from personal experience, I put myself into a 0-card hand because I don't care.
Yeah.
So I probably would go for a Skyla build. It's fine.
It's pretty cool.
Sounds good.
Trust me, I played it at a 7-person league challenge that didn't count because there were only 7 people. It's.
That's all I need
Win
to
the
hear.
league challenge.
Oh yes, I won the league challenge.
Because you're like I got 3rd place.
That's pretty good.
3-0.
I did. So.
John Roberts' list is the hottest thing I've ever seen.
It is amazing.
Like, he plays 4 draw supporters in total, and just I mean, I think in his when he was explaining it on Hey Fonte to people, people were asking him like, "Wow, how did you set up so consistently?" He basically said a lot of times like you set up with a Vikavolt out, and then the deck sort of autopilots itself. Your energies come naturally to your hand. He doesn't run Brock's Grit, I don't think,
Mm-mm.
which I think he said he just plays conservative with his energies and uses his one energy recycler wisely, which I think is amazing. But I mean, it's true. I mean, I played a few games with Vikabulu. Like, you don't really need to draw all that much. You just need to have access to your energies to be able to do your big Bulu attack. And I think the other thing I like about his list is he ran Fighting Fury Belt for Tapu Bulu, which makes it a lot more annoying for Pokemon to get one shots on Bulu without I guess being able to remove the Fighting Fury Belt. So I think he ran 3 Fury Belt, 2 Choice Band, if I'm reading his list correctly.
That's right.
So I really like his list. I mean, that's where I would start testing for Worlds, and obviously I'd run things like Acerola, just because you have strong charge as well to help you get stuff back. And I think I'd put a Brock's Grid in or a second energy recycler.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'd start with John Roberts' list. Oh, and I think he ran 4 Candy as well, 3 Skyla 4 Candy, which is something I really liked. And he also ran 2 Bridget or 1 Fan Club 1 Bridget.
1 each.
He just ran like super consistency. So like if you want to start testing Vikabulu, go on Hey Fonte and look at his list. He got top 32 at U.S. Nationals, and I think he mentioned if you played a little faster and he would have made top 8. So I think great deck.
Approval stamp. Very good. Anyone else on that? On Vikabulu?
I haven't really
other than
played
the fact that my mind was just blown by all that.
I haven't really played that version, so I feel like Connor, we should probably just let that slide. Yeah, we'll just slide to the back of the class, and we'll just let Sam go talk.
Did I mention how much I like his list, guys?
I think
Not
You
yet.
did. I mean, I
Not
looked
yet.
it up, and you knew all the cards offhand. So
yeah,
I
You know all
had
the
no
cards
idea about this list until right now. So
it's
Yeah.
pretty.
Wait, Ryan, you don't spend your entire waking hours browsing Hey Fonte for the newest lists?
when people message me on Facebook, I'm so bad at getting on the internet to talk to them. It actually sometimes takes 2 days for me to respond to a message.
or
I'm
like
that bad
3
with
years.
technology.
Yeah, I forget that you guys don't have internet down there in South
Yeah.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to, you got to wade through all the farm animals to find internet, so it's tough.
All right, the next one we're gonna talk about is Zoroark. Is that dead because of Gardevoir?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a metacle to beat Drampa. It was a metacle to beat Espeon. They're going down in play. Worse matchups are going up in play. So it was a cute metacle deck, but the meta's shifted.
Okay. What about Vespiquen?
Oh, let me call Rahul. Let him talk a little bit.
I don't hate Vespiquen at all.
I know Rahul loves it right now. So
No.
I don't know if he's gonna play it, but I think he loves it all the time. So I don't know if it's any different from literally any second ever. But I know that being able to one-shot things is really good, and Vespiquen can do that. And it's all one-prize attackers, and almost all decks are now needing to set up for at least 1 or 2 turns. So Vespiquen now has a little bit of time to throw all their Pokemon into the discard pile. So I think it's pretty good. I don't know if it can like make it through to like day 2, or if it can actually win Worlds, but I think there's probably going to be maybe at least 1 or 2 people that does good with it.
I agree with Ryan. I think the deck is still good. I don't think it's something I would play personally, but I think the deck is still good. I think it's always good. It's a strong card, and so it stayed good the entire time it's been in print. I don't know if it's been always at the forefront of the meta, but it's always been good and it's always been played. So.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I think 0 people will play Oricorio for Day 1 Worlds, which is something, I guess. So you can just go ham. You don't care about item usage ever. You can just whack all the Pokemon in there. Probably go back to evolution builds, because that sounds good for Metagross, Volk, Decidueye, these sorts of things, and start pounding through as a non-EX. Seems good to me.
Yeah, like I don't even know if you run Zoroark now. Maybe you still do, but like you can run it with. I have a list that I have not tested of Vespiquen Lycanroc that I want to
Ooh.
test for a little bit. I mean, the gusting ability is real good, and you can. Rogue GX is also just very good if you like. You play like 1 or 2 strong energies to potentially use Rogue GX. So I'm still. That list is still theoretical, but I mean, I think Vespiquen's very well positioned. It can lose to Quick Greninja if you don't get. Quick Greninja, too. It can lose to Quick Volcanion if you don't get your Vaporeon out in time. But and it can lose to Gardevoir if they get a quick turn 2 Gardevoir and just start streaming knockouts. I think it's not bad. It does have close matchups. I think, especially with stage 2 decks getting so much HP. But
and Fighting Fury Belt's coming back too.
Yeah, Fighting Fury Belt's making a comeback now that it's a 2-shot meta. Or mostly a 2-shot meta. So we'll see.
All right. So are there any other really big decks that anybody wants to talk about? Anything I missed that's blatantly obvious?
New Turbo Darkrai could be cool.
Oh, I wrote it down and I didn't say it.
We've mentioned that Garbodor decks are going back downhill in play, so maybe Darkrai goes back to like Turbo Engine, maybe playing like 4 Acrobite to try and get the GXs in the discard pile and start ramping up energy. I think that seems like a solid plan. And it will just be, again, just another one of these aggressive, consistent decks that can join the field of play, really. I think everyone likes Darkrai, so people will test it for sure.
I think if you would play it, you'd also probably, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm liking the version, like, I haven't actually tried it, but in my head, with Bisharp and that Stadium, not one-shot Gardevoir, seems pretty good.
Seems good.
Seems good.
I don't hate Turbo Dark at all. I think if you're running Turbo Dark, you have to play a way to deal with Gardevoir, and Bisharp is probably the way to do that. I mean, it's you have access to the best of you have access to a lot of damage with the other Darkrai, and I guess you can my current list is a 1/1 area dose to try to use the GX attack, but that might be nice.
You can play Hypno and use the GX attack and use Dark Head. It's
Good night, babies.
Well, with Hypno, you also need to run All Night Party.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which I guess is
you can run that. You can run that Stadium too. The other one that just
Chaos
doesn't put you.
Tower.
That one,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's true. You can run Chaos. I mean, I think Darkrai has a lot of space. I mean, you still have Oblivion Wing Evoltal. You still, you have. I mean, not a lot of space, but you have a good like 5 or 6 spots to do whatever you want with, and it naturally runs Reverse Valley, so you could use Bisharp. I think it's a tier 2 deck. It beats it beats things by outpacing it and trading better. But I mean
I feel like it gets much worse without the Altar of the Moon. Like if you're playing a different stadium.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, so
free switch back and forth is so good.
You're right. The deck might not have as much space as I thought.
It's like, but you're not playing the slower version anymore, so you actually don't really need the retreats because you're playing you'd be playing. I'm assuming the fast version with acrobites and switch cards maybe, and so I think it'd be a whole different kind of deck. But I agree, Altar of the Moon being gone does kind of suck, but you might not need it. So because you're trying to go fast, Sanic fast.
And a deck I want to talk about, which I really like, and I think no one else is hyping, which is I don't know what that means about the deck, is Tapu Coco with various things.
You brought this up earlier, and I was really confused. So
I love Tapu.
Let's hear about it.
It's been testing pretty decently. I mean, with Ether Paradise Conservation Area and with Fighting Fury Belt, your Tapu Coco GX effectively has like 240 HP. And it's very hard to hit that number. I mean, Gardevoir can do it, which is I guess the problem. But I mean, if they can't kill it, you just swing for 130, which is like one of the most efficient attacks ever printed. You just go between different Tapu Cocos. I'm still working on it. I've been trying it with things like Vioplume as well, which don't judge me for.
Scary.
But
Well-
Tapu Coco with a turn like what I thought is instead of using Decidueye, which just does puts incremental damage, why not just get a turn 1 Vileplume out and just start using Tapu Coco and swinging for 130? So that's something else I'm trying out. I guess it's not really. It probably sucks, but just don't want.
Another thing
don't
with
want
that Gardevoir matchup you mentioned, if they are knocking out a Tapu Coco GX, then you can GX attack them back and knock them out.
Yeah.
And just
But
one-shot
they're
them
not going to commit that much energy and not kill you, right? They're just going to pass. They'll
No.
just GX
I'm
attack.
saying if they do kill you, if they
Oh, right.
if they put that many hits on and you have another attacker ready, you can just go GX attack, knock out their Gardevoir.
Sure. But I just think that Field Blower minusing 70 HP is awful for you.
It's very bad.
I would not be playing Tapu Coco. So I think Field Blower is like a more solid 2 count than it previously has been. So.
But I want it to work, Joe. I want it to work so bad.
I also think
Just let him have his moment, Joe.
Sam
Just
was
let him
talking
have it.
about. I don't think the Vileplume. I feel like the Vileplume version could be decent because Vileplume again just locks you out of the game, and then you can just sit there and ace roll of these Tapu Cocos and just keep swinging for 130.
Be annoying.
I think Azul played the deck at some sort of. It was either a cup or a challenge
Cup.
or something like
He got
that. It was Elite Cup.
second.
Yeah, he played at Elite. He played
Played
Yeah, he played 4 AZ at Elite Cup. Kind of like a Lorantis Plume list where it just kind of hits over and over again and using AZ. I feel like the same kind of thing can happen with the Tapu Coco. And I feel like it's almost a little bit stronger because you're hitting for more damage and then just recycling those 3 energy over and over again.
Sounds good.
Interesting.
All right, so for these last, Tapu Coco is one of these decks that we are going to talk about. You can just say, I think it's tier 1, I think it's tier 2, I think it's tier 3, or I think it's bad. And if you think it's a higher tier and you want to say something about it, feel free. We'll start with one that's near and dear to a few of our hearts, Xerneas Break.
Xerneas Brig, what a great card.
Man.
Joe- I'll let Joe start because Joe probably loves it more than I do.
I don't love it much anymore. I think, again, like we were saying with Zoroark, I was trying to target the Grampas, the Espeons, the Zoroarks, so I've sort of put it on the back burner for a while. I think there's a lot more really high HP Pokemon they have to deal with, and that's a pain. And Golisopod, again, is an early tempo deck. They can hit 130 with Decidueye pings and stuff, so been on the back burner for me now.
So bad?
Tier 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Bad.
It's bad. It's bad. But I will say, if it's your life goal to use pulverizing pancake on Stream at Worlds,
No.
this is the deck to do it.
I got some syrup for those pancakes.
That's awesome. All right, next.
There's
Oh, go ahead.
There's no better deck for Snorlax GX.
Kiawe, Snorlax Kiawe, there you go.
Alright. We need to calm down with this, okay, everybody? Let's just take it easy.
Mega Gardevoir.
Mega.
Making me sad. Deck isn't good. I wish it was good. I really wanted to, like I said, that when Xander Pero and I first saw Darkrai GX, we got a little excited about it because of Gardevoir. We're like, oh, we can play it; it'll be so good. But it can't be Gardy GX.
Stuff has too much HP now. They can only hit a certain amount. They can't hit that anymore.
You're not taking one shots. I played it at Nationals. And I don't think it was an awful call. I don't know if it was great, but I don't feel like it was awful. Like it knocked out against Espeon. It was really good against Espeon. I felt like it had a close Drampa matchup. I feel like Volcanion is slightly favorable, but just compared to like what we have right now, it just isn't good.
I think Gardevoir. I mean, I don't know what's up with the Mega Gardevoir revival, but I played against 3 of them in my first 7 rounds at internationals, including Connor. So I mean, I think the deck is good, but probably things have too much HP.
Yeah, I think it really struggles with Acerota around, but yeah, I wouldn't even consider it now.
So bad. All right.
If I'm not considering the deck, then you shouldn't.
That's like Ahmed on Volcanion.
That's very true.
All right. Neuron.
I don't even
haven't
really
tested
know.
it.
I don't even know
But
what you pair it with.
It's funny, yeah, you mentioned that. It's something I want to actually try to test. I'm not sure if it's good or not, but it seems like it could work.
Untested will be my answer, because I don't know.
Untested as well. I think, for me, in theory, I think you just go pretty straightforward, but then play like a couple of baby Cocos and try an Espeon EX route. So maybe against like the Guardies, you do the GX attack, then do some Coco spreading, and then try and devolve the Guardies, because there's no way that you can just like, well, potentially you'd Wally and item lock them out of the game. There's that win condition, and then there's the spread devolve win condition against Guardi. I think that's why most people have just written Noivern off the map straight away.
I just totally forgot I had fairy weakness. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
this is terrible.
All right.
It's like one fair, maybe like what, 2 energy to 1 shot? That's no.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Bad. And then
Look,
if
you can figure out.
Guardi's playing Deancey, it can just sit there and set up a Gardevoir under the lock and then just win
Yeah.
anyway. So
You can't even one-shot under a load of Vulpix, which is so sad for the deck. They get free beacons on you. It's gross. Yeah. I've played around with it. It's
well, I'm glad I'm not going to waste my time and build it.
Yeah, I think it's so much effort. If you want to start testing Noivern now and not test another deck, you might do well at Worlds of it. But
You might go
it's
4-3.
so much effort. Yeah.
Cool.
I actually think you guys are sleeping on Noivern a little bit. I mean, it's only bad matchup, like truly horrible matchup, is Gardevoir, right?
I'm getting
Everything
tired of
else,
this guy.
like,
No, it's got bad balls as well.
I mean, I guess Alola Ninetales is also a bad matchup, but like,
And Volcanion.
is it bad against Volcanion, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible. Terrible.
Who needs items when you can just Kiawe? Who cares?
Lele, Kiawe, knockout. Like, steam up, knockout, or whatever.
Good night, babies. All over again.
All right, fine. I mean, I don't think. I mean, I think turn 1 item lock is very oppressive, and you can get off the item lock before they ever, like, if you go first, you can get one off before they can rare candy. If you go second, you can Wally and get the item lock before they can rare candy. So I mean, I think it puts on some pressure. You're probably right that it loses to the 2 big decks, so maybe it's not that great. But hey, if you can get it to 50-50 Volcanion, I don't think it's like that bad.
Okay. I think this is one that you guys are just going to say is bad. I saw a couple things about Ho-Oh GX.
Just by itself?
Yeah, with Kiawe.
Okay, bad.
Okay.
Bad.
Really
Cool.
bad. Really
All right.
bad.
Ninetales.
But
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Ho-Oh, in the similar vein as Ho-Oh, I will say that there was like a Turtonator and Lurantis deck that was doing well at internationals in the orange pod for a little bit. I think he was like a couple points away, or maybe a point away from making cut. Like in the similar vein as like the Ho-Oh deck, I think that deck could be interesting. I mean, just powering up your shell traps and making it very difficult for your opponent to knock you out. So something to think about. But
So
yeah,
similar to like Lurantis, Solgaleo, but just basics instead.
No, he doesn't. He promo Lurantis.
Promo Lance.
Oh, what?
Oh, that's
Oh,
spicy.
To make his
I
Tornado
totally
super
like forgot that did fire extra too. I was imagining like the Rantis GX.
Dang. Okay.
He played like bursting balloons and stuff. It was cool.
Wouldn't you rather just steam up?
Shut up, Connor.
All right. Ninetales.
Doesn't hit enough damage. Same thing as Gardevoir. You can't reach the knockouts you need to. So, and his GX attack isn't really that good because you can die, and then you don't even get to move any damage counters.
I'll just play around it and wait until they can knock it out. It's not putting on enough pressure early, so.
Bad.
I don't think the new Ninetales does enough to push the deck.
Okay.
Bad.
All right. Water bottle. No, go ahead.
Ninetales with the new Zoroark GX recently won something in Japan, right? One of the mega battles or whatever it's called.
But Zoroark GX is a game changer, right? You said Zoroark GX.
Yeah.
I think it was like a 4-3-1 line of Alola Ninetales with one of the baby Ninetales, or one of the baby Alola Ninetales, like 2/2 Zoroark GX, like 2 Mallow. I think like it won something. I have a list saved on my phone. I can just look it up. Hold on.
Well, I don't even know what Zoroark GX does.
It's nutty.
It's
Isn't
a
that-
complete diving draw, and its attack
Diving
just
draw,
really
yeah.
damage times the number.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Is it a deck outside of Ninetales?
It's not in this set, right?
No.
It's not in this. It'll be in the next.
Okay, I didn't think so. I was like,
Well, you just told me it does more damage for things on your bench, so I like it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like,
It's Circle Circuit.
Gustavo did take the #1 seed overall with.
Hey, don't bring it up. I almost had him in round 12. Ugh.
You guys both lost the top
Sharpie
8.
and cross out that blue circle at the bottom left corner of your cards.
all right. Are you going to talk more about the Ninetales list or no?
Oh, did you want to know more about it?
Not really. Because it's not for this format. Water box.
There's only one person in the world that can play Water Box and take it to a win.
That's
Okay.
it.
Fair
If you're
enough.
If you're not
not
Israel,
also,
then
so.
you can't hit for 230 damage. You still can't knock out a Gardevoir GX. So
Okay.
You can
So-
play permanent.
And Ice Beam gets way worse now as well.
Yeah.
That's like a huge tool for the deck because I've been testing a lot of it because we've got a current standard format regional coming up. I've been testing a lot of Aquabox lately, and it does rely on that Ice Beam turn a lot. And Tapu Fini's like a cool card for tempo plays, but again, I don't think it's enough for the deck to push it hard enough.
All right. Lurantis. Bad to lose to Volcanion.
Just play
Bad.
Metagross. If you
Okay.
want to play Lurantis, play Metagross.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mega Caesar, same thing.
Yeah, if you want to play Mega Caesar, play Metagross.
Okay.
yeah.
All right, this one we're going to do a little bit differently. If you want to say bad, just say BDIF, okay? Rainbow Road.
BDIF.
BDIF.
All right, great.
It's not the worst deck. It's better than some of the things that you've mentioned. So
In a similar vein to Ray, but like it could be a good call, but it's just way worse than Ray because you can't draw cards very well. So
Okay.
That's not the answer he was looking for, Joe.
No,
That's
it's
not the. He wanted a positive answer.
exactly.
I think Andy Gray will play the deck and go like 3-3-1. So
Fair
It's hard to play Rainbow Road with that double colorless energy though.
enough. Is this true? I don't get it.
Okay. That took me a second. He didn't write DCE on his
Yeah.
London list.
So he
So
lost.
he had to
Played
play
in London
Fairy.
eight fairies and then dropped after like 3 rounds.
he
He
was
lost-
sad that day.
He lost the
No,
night
he
Rayquaza.
played Eagles on Garba. I'm just making the joke that he forgot his DCs at London, but
Got it.
Rainbow Road is a deck that could win juniors. I think
Yeah.
it's
That's-
just very it's very frail. As a deck, you can get end out of stuff late game, and you can have awkward hands because you have to run so many different types of Pokemon, and you need a specific combination of attachments. You need you need a fairy and you need a DC to do your big attack, and things have a lot of HP now. So if they ever bounce your stadium and knock out, you have to ever play a second Tapu Lele. It just makes things weird. So I think it's a
So you'd say
It's a-
BDIF?
I think it's a BDIF.
Okay.
I agree it's a slightly worse version of Rayquaza.
Okay. Great. Gyarados.
I like it.
I
Not
think
bad.
it's not bad. I agree.
It's
I
not
think
bad.
It's not bad.
So tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, what are we talking?
It's gonna be a tier 3, but I think it could be tier 2.
I mean, how many decks actually play Coco now of the top ones we were talking about? How many
You can
actually
pick
have a
up games
counter?
based around it. I don't know. I think that the deck actually is like decently positioned. It could be a sleeper pick. It could be something that you can play and do well with.
I think I'd rather take Greninja than Gyarados though, because you're taking the same losses. But Greninja I think wins harder than Gyarados will win against
I could see
top
that.
decks.
It doesn't
yeah.
have all those cool tricks that Greninja has. It doesn't have the Shadow Stitch or the sniping. So, or just like the turn 2 Ace Trainer. Yeah. So.
All right.
I agree Gyarados is a worse Greninja, but I'm still gonna try it because I love Gyarados.
Fair enough. Last one on my list, unless you guys have anything to add. Groudon with Wish Baton or something like that. Is that what
Oh
it's called?
boy.
Okay, so you play Kiawe and Smeargle, and just go ham.
I'm out of here.
Turn 1 Kiawe, Primal, and then turn 3 you attack.
It's perfect. You only have to.
Yeah, you have to get energies, but it's easy.
Yeah. All right. So I
How
guess
are you
that's
planning
bad.
to get those fighting energies in the discard pile, Connor?
Sam, don't worry about it.
Scorched Earth.
Don't worry
Scorched
about it.
Earth.
That look.
Scorched Earth Mallow. Let's go.
Yeah, there we go.
Shoot.
Now we're thinking. This
It
is
Mallow, the blacksmith the Kiawe on top, and then you don't even have to play Lele or anything. Just go turn. Yeah.
I waited an hour and 15 minutes for the real conversation. This is what I'm talking about. Yes. I'm around on Smeargle, Scorched Earth Mallow.
We can break this.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Wait, this doesn't sound terrible. I'm not kidding right now.
How do you turn the Skype thing off?
I mean, Wishmaton's actually good, right? Wishmaton's actually really good with Groudon. The
Yeah.
combo is there.
Groudon might be good. Whatever deck we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the best version of Groudon.
I don't know if Groudon's good enough, though. Yeah, I mean, what's his bad matchups? It just doesn't...
I mean,
Blue,
He can
Golisopod,
get knocked out by Volcanion.
Yeah,
Volcanion.
knocked out by Volks.
He can get knocked out by Garbodor.
Gardevoir.
Yeah, too many things. You know.
Okay.
It's not good.
All right. Any last decks that you guys want to talk about?
Pretty much
Lycanroc.
Oh,
Lycanroc. Talk to us.
There's a soft spot in my heart for Lycanroc. The new Crabominable makes it okay, I guess.
Somebody explain to me what the new Crabominable does, because Sam has mentioned it multiple times.
I love it. It's so good.
That's
It's
80 for one fighting.
Yeah, 80 for one fighting, and you do damage to Crabominable. Your place counters on Crabominable, I forgot which one it is, equal to the number of damage already on it.
It's got 140 HP as a stage 1.
That sounds really bad.
Yeah.
But it's fighting type, and it gives Lycanroc a 1 energy fighting type attacker.
So you go and you swing for 100.
Just stop.
130 with
The
band.
band, yeah, okay,
Draw.
130 with band. So you're hitting the same numbers that Lycanroc is hitting, and Lycanroc doesn't hit numbers.
You're
So-
basically Persimmon, but with 2 stage 1s now. Instead of basic.
Passimian's a 1 energy attacker.
Oh.
I think I'd almost prefer Lycanroc Passimian.
What about Persimmon
See
Mew?
Ryan take off his headphones.
Yeah,
you, guys
no.
you guys are hating, man, but just watch. Just watch.
We're looking
Just
forward
watch
to
me
it.
end up playing Volcanion too. So
Crabominable can take the evolutions for type coverages, but that's the only thing of note, I think, for the card. And that's only like a couple of matchups. There's still a lot of things away from you being a good deck with Crabominable, I think.
All right.
thanks for killing my dreams, guys.
No problem.
If you guys don't have anything else, do you want to give any shout outs?
Yeah. I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor, ccgcastle.com.
Great.
Go to their site and buy cards and stuff, and you can trade in cards, and you can get the new set if you trade in bulk. Wow. And also articles on 60cards.net. Boom, wearing the shirt. All right, I'm done.
Clutch.
Okay, well, as I did last time.
Sell out, Connor. Go
Also,
go.
gonna shout out my sponsor, ARG, and then shout out to like Monstars, big testing group, so that's good. And then follow me on Twitter at Condor TCG.
At Sabelhaus_TCG. Good. Nice.
What does ARG sell?
It's a card shop in Ohio, and it's also they also run their own tournament series.
Yeah. I knew the tournament series. I just didn't know.
Yeah, it's also a card. It's also a card shop.
Okay. Do they sell stuff online?
They do.
All right, go buy stuff from ARG and CCG Castle. All right.
I don't have a fancy code to give out. I'm sorry.
Alas.
Shout out Omnipoke YouTube channel and Team Omnipoke Twitch and Complexity Card Gaming. Check them out on Facebook. Go for it.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Samstoise. That's Sam and Blastoise. SAMSTOISE. Shout out to my sponsor, myself. Keep working hard and make that money.
That's why your video. That's why you don't have a video.
Yeah, no, he's still working towards that video camera.
I'm working on it.
Next year I'll do better at internationals and afford a camera.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time, and that's it.